You guys, it's day number 18 of my 365-day Jimmy Ice Bath Challenge. 365 days in a row, all throughout the year 2022. And this bad boy, all this lovely, lovely ice in my Morasto Forge. That is the ice bath. I have been going into this every single day since January the 1st. And my goal is to get in there every single day, or at least most of every single day of the year. And so here we are, 18 days later, you guys, still doing this. And they said it wouldn't last. But it's lasting. We're going to make it last. One of the things I have enjoyed doing, besides getting in there and showing you how to get into 32-degree temperature water. In fact, let's see what the water is today. 32.3 degrees today. And show you that it is possible to get in there. I go in for 5 minutes a day in 32-degree temperature water. And I've been hitting on a topic every day. By the way, snow's still here. Lots of it still on the ground. It's starting to melt a little bit, but here's the thing. We just got word that Friday we're supposed to get another 1 to 3 inches of snow. Look, we never get snow in the South. And now we're going to have 2 snow storms within the same week. So who knew? Anyway, we'll deal with that when the time comes. What I want to talk about today is a couple of comments that I got on social media today. Hello, Courtney, and glad you can make it live. Something that I read on social media today, and it's kind of been a recurring theme with all of these videos I've been making with the ice baths. And it's this. People are like, Jimmy, you don't understand. My hands, my feet, I'm just too cold. And if I didn't get cold, then I would happily get into cold. To which I want to respond to that today, because if you're cold and you've got cold hands and cold feet and maybe cold body, you're exactly the person that needs to go into an ice bath. And I'll explain more on that here in just a moment. So let's set this down, tilt it down so you can see all the action. I did run my hand all through the bottom while ago, and there's a big ass sheet of ice in there that just won't come up. But I did feel to make sure there was no jagged edges along the bottom so I don't cut my toes again. So wish me luck getting in so I don't bust my butt falling down. I'm going to go down a little slower than I normally do just because of all that ice in there. So on the bottom. All right. 5 minutes is on the clock. I got a little bit of ice on my deck here. I'm like battling ice everywhere because of the snow. All right, here we go. And here we go. All right, so I'm going to be real careful because there is, like I said, a sheet of ice down there at the bottom. And the last thing I want to do, oh yeah, it's slick. Piece of cake, right? Or in our case, piece of steak. We don't eat cake. So just before I came on the air, somebody wrote a comment on one of the social media, one of my videos, that said, I do ice baths, but I leave my hands and my feet out. And I was like, why do you leave your hands and feet out? It just seemed weird. Haven't heard a response. But one of the common complaints that I've heard about ice baths is, you don't understand, Jimmy. I have cold hands and I have cold feet. The last thing I want to do is get into cold, icy water. And look, from a, I guess, thinking about it very casually way of doing it, that probably makes sense to you. But would it shock you to learn that the exact opposite is true. If you have cold extremities, specifically your hands and your feet, the best thing you can do to regulate the temperature in those extremities is to expose them to cold. I know various cold therapy experts have talked about if you've got cold hands, getting a little bowl or a big bowl, filling it up with ice and water, and then putting your hands into the icy water. Now, it seems counterintuitive, right? If you're cold, why do you want to make them more cold? Well, what you're doing is you're telling your body, send more blood flow, more blood circulation to that area of the body. And so if you've got cold hands, part of it is the circulation isn't as great. So putting cold water exposure on them, like Jimmy's getting right now, is making it so that the blood flow goes better. You guys know when I get out of this ice, I'm going to go inside and I'm going to go on camera and talk about how my hands, I can't feel them because they're numb, right? And within like 5 minutes, not only are they not cold anymore and numb, they're actually hot. And that's that blood flow, you guys. So if you're one of those people who's been reticent about doing an ice bath because, oh, I'm already cold, I already have cold hands, cold feet, I don't want to get in cold because it'll make it colder. It will actually make you warmer. Who knew, right? Who knew? And it's one of those things I think people just assume what's going to happen. It's kind of, they've done it with fasting, they've done it with keto. I've seen this so many times. They've done it with cholesterol. People are like, oh, if I eat more saturated fat, my cholesterol will go up. I'm like, no, not necessarily. Oh, if I don't eat for several days and fast, I'm going to lose muscle. No, not necessarily. If I don't eat carbohydrates in my diet, I'm not going to have any energy. No, not necessarily. So all of these things that you believe that's based on nothing, just your belief, you got to let those things go. And look, if you follow me, you've followed a whole lot of trends that don't make sense to the common person. And if you look at it through like what people believe, none of this makes sense, right? None of these things. And an ice bath is a perfect example. Make your hands cold if you've got cold hands in order to warm them up. Doesn't make sense at face value, but it totally makes sense in actuality if you actually do it. All right, guys, we're coming down to the last 15 seconds. And yeah, the hands hurt the most still. It's more throbbing pain than prickly anymore. It's not prickly anymore. So, all right, that's 5 minutes. I love that woo at the end. All right, I got to get up carefully because there's a big sheet of ice down at the bottom. The last thing I want to do is bust my ass on camera. Hey, careful, careful, careful. All right. Whew. Nature boy Ric Flair ain't got nothing on my woo, man. Yeah, Parkman says, dang, you're early, Jimmy. Yeah, some days I go a little bit before 5. I was just anxious to get in today, so sorry I wasn't exactly at 5 o'clock today. But some days I'm just sitting in here waiting for the time. So that's why I say around 5 o'clock. So I try not to go too early, but somewhere between 5:45 and 5. So all right, as always, hands are cold, so we're going to let them warm up a little bit, and they will. So it's kind of cool when you think about people that have cold extremities, and a lot of times they have that because they have a thyroid problem, and that causes some cold hands. Ugh. Sorry, my legs are very numb today, too. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you can have cold hands and feet. But generally it's a thyroid issue. If you undereat calories, you'll also have that issue. So make sure you're shoring up all the reasons why your hands and your feet would be cold. Somebody saw my cat, Peaches, walk by. up on the catwalk, literally the catwalk up there. So Peaches is the name of the cat. So thank you for asking. All right, let me go back. Copper deficiency can make you cold, says Parkman. Yes. So my hands are still very, very numb. When I first get out, they're numb. And that's okay. But I'm already starting to feel the warm up. It's so weird. I was in 32-degree water for 5 minutes. So obviously my whole body got cold and brought my body temperature down. But now that I'm sitting in basically a room temperature room, out of the water now for a couple minutes, my hands are actually starting to get hot. Is that not the weirdest thing? Now, I don't typically have cold hands and feet, but now that I'm out of the cold, yes, they're still a little bit numb, but they're starting to come in. I can start to feel them a little more now. But I feel what's called thermogenesis. So when your body starts heating itself up, that's called thermogenesis. That's why we call getting into cold water and doing cold showers and doing ice baths cold thermogenesis. You're trying to create heat from your body warming you up. And that's a protective measure, but it also creates lots of metabolic response. It's so funny, the people that they get out of an ice bath and they immediately go like try to warm up in front of a heater or in a sauna or in a hot tub. I'm just like, you're defeating the purpose. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let your body warm you up. All right, let's scroll a little bit with my still quite numb fingers. What I like about you is you don't give up. Thank you, Debbie. I want to say that's my stubborn tenacity. I will keep doing things. I think it served me well. I don't always get the results I want. And nor do I always do things simply for results. I think I do things sometimes just because I want to accomplish things. How many people can say they've gone a whole year going in ice water every single day for 5 minutes? I'm going to say that number is very, very, very small, the number of people that could or would do that. Cold hands and feet could be a thyroid problem. Thank you, Debbie. I said that. Steve says, good job. Thank you. I do enjoy getting into that ice bath every day. It's actually become quite pleasurable. I actually look forward to it for a lot of reasons. I look forward to it because I get to talk to you guys and teach something about cold thermogenesis. But also I know how it makes me feel. So when I come out and I'm starting to get that warm feeling all over my body, by the way, it's the weirdest thing. I can feel the warm, but I can also feel the cold temperature on my skin still, both at the same time. I feel both hot and cold simultaneously. Is that not the weird? Like right now, I feel heat emanating all along my hands and my body and my leg. I can feel heat emanating. And yet my body temperature I can still feel is cold, my skin temperature. Isn't that the most wicked thing? If you've never done cold therapy before, you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you have, those of you that have, you know, when you get out of the cold, give it a few minutes and you start to kind of go, I feel hot and cold at the same time, which here in a few minutes will result in a shiver. And I start shivering, not obsessively shiver. When people think shiver, they think, no, it's just this, it's just like a little bit of and it just jerks you a little bit. And you're just like, okay, that's cool. That's what you want. That gives you those thermogenic effects that you're looking for. Steve says the shivering happens after I get out, but not if I keep on moving. Yeah, that's a good point. And you guys see me, I come in and I sit down, and it's the sitting down, and it usually takes about 10 or 15 minutes before I even start. Like yesterday, I think I shivered after 10 minutes out of the thing. Like I haven't shivered yet. It's been about 5 or so minutes since I've been out of the ice. But yeah, and then sometimes it's as late as like 40, 45 minutes after, and I'll start shivering, and it's like, all right, that's kind of cool. And you're looking for that shiver. The shiver is a good thing. Why did you decide the Morozco, and which model did you try? Says Eric. So the Morozco Forge, for those of you that don't know, that is the tank that I use. I had it recommended to me. I asked my bud, Mike Muscle, Metabolic Mike, and I said, dude, I know you do a lot of these ice baths. I'm tired of going to buy 20-pound bags of ice from Sam's Club. That's getting old. I had done it for a year, basically. And I was having to go get ice every few days. There were some days I just like, ugh, it's just so much. You got to fill up the tub with water. Then you got to go and get the ice out of the thing and dump it in. It's just a pain in the ass. And plus it was a 4-foot tub and I'm 6'3". And so it was very inconvenient to do ice baths that way. So when I started looking around and Mike said, hey, try the Morozco Forge, I looked at them and they were hell of expensive. So I will warn you guys, they are very, very expensive. But for me, it was an investment in my health because it makes its own ice. It filtrates the water, so I never have to change the water. And it's 6 foot long. So all the things that make this very convenient, all I have to do is pop that lid off and plop in. That's it. That's it. And so that's why I decided to go with the Morozco Forge. I got one of the more basic models. I got the 6 foot long one. They have a 4 foot and a 6 foot, I believe. And I went to a biohacking conference last year, Dave Asprey's conference, and they were there. And I told them I had purchased one of their products and it had not been made or delivered yet. And I got into their standard tub and they were like, oh, we need to give you because I've got broad shoulders, the wider one for your shoulders to fit. And so they upgraded me to the wider. And yeah, I've enjoyed it. There are a lot of companies that make these kind of ice tank things. But I think Morozco Forge, yes, it's the Cadillac of the ice bath things. But I have really, really enjoyed. In fact, I asked them to give me a code because I knew people would ask about the tub, and they gave me for the different models. There's a couple of different models. I printed it out so I could say exactly what it is, but let's see. The one model is called the Cold or Filtered Forge, and that's $150 off if you use Jimmy 150. Or if you get the Prism Forge, Jimmy 500 gives you $500 off the Prism. And I've got the filtered one. So, yeah, check them out. Morozco Forge, MOROZKOFORGE, probably .com. I know they're here on Instagram as well, if you look them up by their username. Alrighty, you guys. It is enjoyable and sleep quality improves. Yes, that's been my biggest thing is I feel so zen getting out of the ice bath, and my sleep, which I track with the Oura Ring, and I check my data. I post my data every single day, you guys, and I almost invariably get 2.5 hours of deep sleep. Just right at 2.5. Sometimes it's 2:15, sometimes it's 2:45, but almost always right at 2.5 hours of deep sleep. And look, that's where your body gets so much recovery. Yes, REM is great, and I love getting plenty of REM as well, and I usually get about an hour and a half to 2 hours of REM as well. But that deep sleep is just so critical. And I credit the ice baths, and I credit the magnesium that I take, this upgraded magnesium from Upgraded Formulas. I think these products and the things that you can do to help your sleep, it's so simple. It's so simple. That's not the only things I do. I've talked plenty of times before about all my sleep regimen: cold room, dark room, stopping eating and drinking within 4 hours of bed, getting sunshine early in the day, especially in the eyeballs. So many things, but the game changers have been that magnesium and that Morozco Forge ice bath. So, yeah. So I'm out of the ice bath, and within about 2 hours, I will be so freaking sleepy, I will hit the sack really fast. Eric says, I was going to ask if to do it in the AM prior to coffee. Have you done the AM plunges? Great question, Eric. I have addressed this before, and I know my friend Mike Mutzel, he does 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes right before the sun goes down. And I have found, at least for me, that when I do the cold plunges, they actually make me sleepy. I don't know what they do in me that sleep pressure comes on so strong, but it's really strong. And a lot of it is you're lowering the core body temperature, and so that puts your body in a good state to get good rest. So if I wake up in the morning, I don't drink coffee, so I guess it could be my coffee. I'm a little fearful if I do it in the morning that by noon I'm going to want to go lay down, and I can't lay down in the middle of the day. So that's part of the method to my madness. And look, I think the people that do a couple minutes in the morning, couple minutes at night, that's great. I prefer to do 5 minutes all in one fell swoop here at the end of the day, and then really get good sleep. So that's my reasoning for not doing the AM plunges. Interested in what your heart rate does in there. You know what? Heart rate, blood pressure, blood sugar, all of those things actually tend to go down in general. But no, I have not checked the heart rate while in there. Although when I look at the Oura Ring data, which does track heart rate constantly, when I have tracked the data after being in there, I'll go look in that little time slot and see if I saw a spike or a dip. It basically stays the same. I think part of the reason for me it stays the same is my breath. I'm always constantly, when I first get in there, concentrating on my breath, making sure I'm breathing methodically and flowing, trying to keep myself calm, because again, it's kind of freaky when you first get in there. So for me, I don't see a spike. Now, if somebody is freaking out in there, yeah, I could see people's heart rate going up. But then you're not able to tolerate the cold for very long because you're in a very sympathetic state. What I'm doing with my breath, keeping my heart rate under control, is keeping myself chill, literally, in a parasympathetic state so that I can handle that. I don't think someone in a stressed sympathetic state can actually handle the extreme because their brain is already out of control. Part of what helps me stay in there and stay in there so calm and so long is I'm able to chill and keep myself calm and not freak out, even though the brain, when you first get in there, wants to freak out. Eric says, boom, glad I asked. Yes, thank you. Any questions, always feel free to ask them on these videos that I do. All right, guys, day number 18. We are rocking and rolling this thing. I don't have any specific plans until the end of February, my 50th birthday party. I just finalized all the things, is on February 26th. And on that day, my party is from 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock that night. And so I won't be able to come on camera that night. So I'm trying to think will I do my ice bath earlier in the day and just get it out of the way, or will I just do a cold shower? I don't know what I'm going to do yet. So yeah. Parkman says NBA players are big on the ice baths. Yes, if you are into recovery as an athlete, an ice bath definitely is a great recovery tool. And let me tell you something. Friend of mine sent me a link to a video that Dr. James DiNicolantonio, who's a wonderful author and wonderful social media presence, he did a video today here on Instagram. Go look him up, James DiNicolantonio. And he was talking about being in water. Didn't matter what the temperature is. Could be a hot tub, could be ice bath, whatever. Just the water itself, being in the water, puts the and especially when you take it up to your neck, like I do in the ice bath and like I do in my hot tub, that pressure in the body is actually pushing things in a good direction. I don't want to ruin it for you. Go watch his video, but it was so fascinating. And then at the very end, he's like, and now let's talk about, the temperature. I'm going to do other videos on this, but if you have cold, it's going to be one way. If you have warm, it's going to be this way. So I just thought that was really interesting, that some of the benefits you get from an ice bath, for example, isn't just the cold. It's also that pressure from submerging your body in water and all that surface of your body being pushed by the water, especially when you go all the way up to your neck. So go check that out. And on that note, I will leave you guys. Thanks so much for watching here today. Day number 18 is in the can, and we'll be back again real soon with another video. We'll see you later.